Hello and welcome to Brantôme. We're on holiday here in the Dordogne, and this is my second safari video, or vehicle safari video. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. This time around I've decided not to do any sort of video of vehicles, but just photographs, so effectively it's a slideshow. But I hope you enjoy what I've found. So Brantôme's a very beautiful place called the Venice du Périgord. And we come here quite a lot, really. Well, a lot. We come here roughly once a year because my in-laws own a house here, and we're very lucky to be able to use it. So I'm back home now and recording the voiceover for this video, as you can see or hear. This is a new thing for me, doing voiceovers, so just bear with me if I fluff it or make a mistake, but yeah, it should be easier than talking to camera. While we were based in Brantôme, I took a few photos and not much video actually when we were there, but also I took a few pictures in places that we visited, so there's a bit of a variety. I was also lucky enough to go for a tour in a 2CV4, which will be a separate video, but I'm going to include some photographs of the car, which is owned by Stefan, who is also based in Brantôme. He offers to hire his car out for weddings and what have you, so it's quite an interesting trip for me, but you'll see that in the future video anyway. So we'll start off with this Citroën H-Type, which we came across by accident travelling down, because we sometimes use what we call the petite route, so we avoid the auto route and we take the small roads and go through the villages. So this was in a town called Bellac, parked in a supermarket, and surprise surprise, it's been used as a food truck. So here in the centre of Brantôme we have this lovely VW Beetle. So it's a fairly modern car, I suppose, but I thought it looked really stylish. So the next car that came along, or rather another one by accident, was this Renault 21, which we came across near the Grand Jardin, as we call it in Brantôme, or I think it's the Jardin des Moines. Strangely, this Renault 21 has graphics saying manager, so I'm not sure what that's about. And we came across a Renault Clio, and we're seeing fewer and fewer of them, so I thought I'd take a picture of that. A Peugeot 307cc, another modern car like the Coccinelle, or the VW Beetle I should say, because I'm sort of switching between French and English a lot of the time, so excuse me if I get a bit confused, but yeah, this is another modern car. I just thought I like the look of that, so I took a picture of it. So where we were staying, in my father-in-law's place, next door is a restaurant, and one of the people that runs it owns this lovely Peugeot 104 GR, which I've seen on a couple of previous visits. I think he's probably owned it for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years or something like that, but it's not very often you see a daily drive like that. Unfortunately it seems to be burning oil, because we got a lovely acrid smell every time we started it up, but it's great to see it on the roads. One of the few bus photographs I took on the trip, unfortunately I seem to have switched to cars. Most of my photos were of cars on this visit, but this is I think it's a Mercedes-Benz Citaro, which is nothing particularly special because there are lots of them about. Even where I live here in the Essonne, lots of Citaros are used on the local bus routes. We came across this lovely 2CV, which was parked in front of a Leclerc supermarket, and we just happened to, well, I think the owner sort of came out. We said a quick bonjour, but I think he was a bit bemused me taking a picture of his car, but I guess I'm not the only one to have done that. And funnily enough, about a week later, Madame Mega Breadvan came across the same car in Brantôme. For some reason one Sunday, I don't think there was an event on or anything like that, but there was a few classic cars parked here and there in the car parks, and Yeah, she came across this and also a Renault 5, which you'll see later on. She took pictures of them for me. So here we have this Toyota van during the market day in the centre of Brantôme. Every Friday there's a market there, which caused a little bit of chaos because there's lots and lots of people. But I came across this van and I thought that looks a bit weird. I've got a clue what Toyota it is. Not really the sort of thing I take a picture of usually. It's obviously a Porsche. It says hybrid on it, and apart from that I know nothing more about it. Part near it, now at the other end of the scale, is a sans permis. So this is a Ligier X2. I'm not a big fan of sans permis cars, even if I got a sans permis van. But cause I own, if you've looked at my other videos, I own a Mega multi-truck, which was made by Aignan when they used the name Mega for their trucks and other things. But you know, I wouldn't be somebody who would buy a sans permis car. But yeah, Europe is a particular thing or peculiar thing where you can drive these without a license and you just need insurance. Not something you probably see in the UK. So I started taking pictures of them purely because I'm just so bemused that you can just get in a car, get insurance and drive. No lessons needed. Unless you were born after 1988, then you have to go for a 7-hour course. So there you go, that's a Ligier X2. And the lovely Dacia Duster, which is the later one. I prefer the older ones really, but I have to have a Duster in the footage. So here we have a Renault Traffic, which is, well, for me it's not a bus, even if it's owned by a bus company. Voyage d'Avenir is based close to Brantôme in Valais, which is on the road going down to Périgueux. And I used to pop along to their garage on a Sunday when we were in the area, and take lots of photographs of all the weird and wonderful buses, or mainly coaches actually, but the weird and wonderful anyway because there are quite a few old ones. Some of them obviously not used anymore and parked out the back, but we can no longer do that because they've put fencing up. So oh well, we made the most of it while we could. And here's a little Nissan Micra. I don't think you see so many of those now. I certainly haven't seen many on French roads, so I thought I'd take a picture of that. Here we have I think it's a Chevrolet Camaro. I'm not really an expert on American cars, especially modern ones, but this was driving around quite a bit when we were in Brantôme, making nice V8 throbbing noises. Yet another Dacia Duster. In French we say Dacia. In English it appears it's Dacia from what I've seen on English television. I think with the Citroën C15 these are a bit of a classic as well, a bit of an icon. You tend to see them a little bit now, more years ago, but I think along with the C15 these Renault Expresses are going to be disappearing at some point. A Peugeot E208, I was just intrigued by the colour and the black mudguards. Another thing about Citroën DS3s, or DS3 in French, I love them. I don't know why. I'm not really, as I said before, into really modern cars, but I just think that these are going to be an icon. You know, they're just so stylish. And strangely, in Brantôme as well, we're still in Brantôme, a Tesla. And I think this is a Citroën C8, C8, C9. I'm not very good with modern Citroëns either. And here we've got a Renault Twingo, and of course, like the Renault Expresses, like the Peugeot 205s, Renault 5s, Twingos, you're starting to see a little less of them. So here we've got a more modern Dacia Sandero. I know we have friends who have the first Sandero that came out, which was also a poverty spec and was very basic, and I think they've still got it. And I'm talking years later, probably, I don't know. I'm trying to think when they bought it. They bought it when my daughter was born, so it's getting on for 10 years old. And a Peugeot 205. Enough said. And another DS3, a DS3. And a strange looking thing that you probably don't tend to see much of in Brantôme. Subaru. I think, is it Subaru Impreza? I don't know, because I think it's yes, it is an Impreza. I was completely confused by the front lights. And yet another VW Coccinelle in French, or VW Beetle, but an open top one, so I quickly caught this one as it was heading into Brantôme. A Citroën BX in estate form, and as you can see it's just behind the VW, but I had to take a picture of this because you don't see so many of those about either. And a Fiat Panda 4x4. So I'm assuming this is a Ford Mustang. And a lovely Miari. Yeah, you got to love a Miari. It's got 2CV underpinnings, so you got to like it. My brother-in-law actually owns one, but he's in the I think he's in the process of trying to restore it. But he's had it for a number of years, and it's laying a bit dormant. But hopefully you'll get it back on the road. And a Citroën CX, which was just sitting there in the car park. I think I've seen this one before actually, because I took a picture of a CX last year. It was a nighttime picture, so it wasn't very good. So I'll have to check. It probably is the same one. And yet another car that I wouldn't normally take a picture of, but it was there. It was in Bourdeilles, which is not too far from Brantôme. We went along there to go and paddle in the river, and sitting next to the river was this. I think the VW multivan, or whatever you want to call them. Again, I don't know what it is exactly, what they model number is and name is or whatever, but it's not something you see a lot of, so I thought I'd take a picture. Yet another Twingo, but I think this is probably an early Twingo because it's looking a bit worse for wear. You know, it must be knocking on a bit there, but yeah, it adds to the character, doesn't it? And yet another Twingo, which was, well, I took that picture not long after the other one, same car park in Brantôme. Now I didn't know what this was when I took a picture, and I actually asked online. I think it's a Peugeot 203. I just happened to take the picture from the window of our car as we drove by, so it's not a particularly good one, but there's no badges on the front or the back of it, so you know, it could be anything, but it is probably a Peugeot 203. And I think this is an MGA, not something you see a lot of, again parked in the car park. This was the Sunday I spoke about earlier, where we saw the Citroën 2CV that we'd seen in Leclerc, or in front of Leclerc in Trélissac. So we had this MG, we had the earlier Peugeot, the Renault 5 and the 2CV. So yeah, excellent. And talking about the 2CV, here it is. It's the same one that we saw in Trélissac. And next to it, a lovely original Renault 5. Madame Mega Breadvan actually owned a Renault 5 when I first met her, getting on for 26 years ago. Only hers was not the original Renault 5, it was a Super Sank from 1994. But even so, those are very good, and again, another car that is fast disappearing. And here we come across the Citroën 2CV4 that I had a jaunt in. Stefan's 2CV, who's based in Brantôme. So I'm going to do a separate video about this car. It's going to be mainly a sort of road trip type thing, because the only footage that I actually took was sitting in it and filming as we drove along. But it was just a magical trip. I mean, it only lasted 2 or 3 hours, but it was really excellent. Anyway, I recommend if you want to ride around in a 2CV in the Brantôme area, look up Stefan. And we have a Ford Fiesta, and another type we don't really see an awful lot of on French roads. It reminds me of the fact that we actually rented one of these when we were in the UK. We rented it from behind Waterloo Station and drove it up to Leicester, so that was fun. Another DS3, but bearing some war scars. And yet another Twingo. Hopefully this video is not going to turn into a video of Twingos. So I took a picture of this. Again, I think it's a Dodge. This massive 4x4 pickup. And yet another Ford Fiesta, this time an older one. I can remember that the version before this, two of my friends had one each in the same colour as this, in this nice blue. And of course they were very popular cars at the time. I wasn't 100% sure what this was when I saw it. Well, now I've got the photo. Obviously it would have helped if I took a 3/4 view. Short wheelbase Renault Kangoo. And yet another bus photo, the second one that I took on the trip. I took 5 bus photographs while we were away, and that wasn't just in Brantôme. We actually stopped in Tours on the way home and visited the Zooparc Beauval, which is to the east of Tours. So I took this picture here of this Renault Tracer, which is being used I think as a mobile theatre. So there's a few other bus photographs, or rather 2 other bus photographs that I took in Zooparc Beauval. Yet another VW like the one earlier that I took in Bourdeilles. So yeah, I just took it because it looked old. I bought a model. This wasn't very expensive. In France they tend to do sort of releases of magazines that come with a model, which you can buy in Maison de la Presse, in newsagents. And this one was the first of a series of wartime cars, staff cars, and this Citroën traction avant was only €2.99, so I couldn't refuse. I had to buy it. Another model is this lovely Charleston that my friends Coco and Manu bought me. They came to stay a couple of nights with us in Brantôme. A little bit dark. I tried my best to take a picture of it. It was with my phone, I think. This is a Lada Niva. You don't tend to see many of those about in France. So we've left Brantôme, we've left the Dordogne, and we're on our way to Tours. So this is in Mortemart, I think it's called, which is near Saint-Junien. So I was just intrigued by this Citroën Berlingo because it has an English number plate in the back window, F5 SOD. And in the hotel car park in Tours we came across this Mercedes camper van. Again, looks like something that is getting on a bit. It's quite old. An Iveco Magilis of cars Quercy in Corrèze. Corrèze isn't too far away from the Dordogne, it's off towards the east. He's travelled a fair way up to Tours. So this is a bus, or rather a coach, from the local réseau, the local route network near Tours. It's called Remy, which is quite appropriate for me because that's my son's name, and he is spelt with a Y at the end and not an I. So this is I think it's an Iris Bus R-Way or a Crossway, I'm not sure which. I think they were the replacement for the Tracer, which we saw earlier in Brantôme. But yeah, I had to take a picture of it purely for the name Remy. So these are sort of, I suppose, in the same class as my Mega Breadvan, but these are the chosen chariots for Zooparc Beauval. It's what's called a Melex. I don't know much about them. I think this one's an electric, but I think they had some diesel ones with like big chunky tyres. But yeah, I was just intrigued to see these little vehicles. I always am intrigued to see these little vehicles. So the Melex brings us to the end of this video. Be sure to visit my site where you'll see lots and lots of photographs of cars and trucks I've taken over the years. I'm hoping to basically build up a record of all of my photographs I've taken since practically 1980. My first tentative photos as a 10-year-old will be included, but I carried on taking pictures all through the 80s, the 90s and to the present day, and you'll find those at my site sonimage.space. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you in another video.